Call this meeting to order. We have items 2 through 8, which can move on consent without objection. That will be the order. Item number 1 is a commission nominee. On items 9 and 10, if Mr. Labange and Mr. Reyes don't have any problem, we can also move those on consent. Is there any concern about that?
On 10, number 10?
9 and 10.
Very good.
If everybody's okay with that, we'll move items 9 and 10 on consent as well. So we have item number 1.
Item number 1, communication from the Mayor and Ethics Commission report relative to the appointment of Ms. Erica Cabrera to El Pueblo de Los Angeles Historical Monument Authority for the term ending June 30th, 2013. This matter is also scheduled for council today.
What are you doing, Tom?
Waving goodbye to somebody. Waving goodbye to somebody. I didn't want to yell,
They were
Richard.
waving back.
I know, they didn't. I missed it, but I tried.
You freaked out our nominee here.
Oh, no need.
Well, as you saw, I had the opportunity to interview this nominee, very young and talented person who's working with YPI, which just received a major grant, the Promised Neighborhoods Grant, and really interesting because I was lobbying the administration for YPI on this issue when I first got back to council 7 years ago. So congratulations. I think it's a $20 million grant or something. It's a huge grant, and we'll be hiring a bunch of people to focus and doing some great work. But in addition to that, she's an artist and an artist advocate, and I found that to be very intriguing, particularly because she participated, co-wrote a biography on Diego Rivera, and as you know, Tom, we've struggled with creating the Siqueiros or recreating the Siqueiros mural at El Pueblo, and I was mentioning to her that should be one of her goals, is to see how we can finish that project that started before you and I even were here.
It's done. We dedicated. You missed the dedication, Richard, but
You
it's okay.
didn't invite me after all that?
No, we're always invited to everything. We're always invited to
Well,
everything.
she's going to do the Rivera mural. In any case,
should go visit it. It's really
I really,
beautiful.
Absolutely, I need
on
to
a
visit
cloudy
it.
day. It'll look
On
nice.
a cloudy day?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
No, when it's sunny, because of the reflection of the light, it's hard to see the image
Oh, really?
because the colors have faded. On a cloudy day, the colors really pop out. You can see the image because you're from a distance.
Very good. It's
Wow, I
true.
didn't know we had all these.
Critiques from artists.
Yeah. all
And
these-
furthermore, no, just kidding.
Very good.
Okay. So with that, Erica, if you would please just tell us briefly why you would like to have this position on El Pueblo
Yeah, I like to.
de Los Angeles Historical Monument.
Of course, first, good morning to everybody. Basically, the reason why this seemed very, very attractive position, just because I've been working in Los Angeles for quite some time. I was born here, went to school here, graduated with my master's at Cal State LA in art history, and basically I've been serving my community since then. Working with not only YPI, LA's Best, in education and the arts, basically trying to create also not only with education through LAUSD chartered schools in the arts and computer and whatever we can do is just uplifting our community to basically take them out of poverty and through education. And so I think that's the best way. And like Councilmember Alarcon, I believe that art is one of the most, I think, readily available to everybody in the community, whether you have your master's, whether you don't. It touches you in ways that speak beyond words. And I think that's what the Siqueiros mural does, and all the other murals that we've seen in LA, throughout the freeways, throughout LA, basically.
Tom, Ed, and I probably know better than most in the city of Los Angeles, but as quaint as the Calle Alvera is, it is one of the most controversial locations in our world because there are always controversial dynamics going on. So it's a challenging commission. It's even though it's not one of our bigger commissions, it's very challenging because there are competing interests on the street. You'll have groups of businesses that encounter interests, some that are on long-term leases, some that are on short-term leases that pay more than the ones that are on long-term leases, some that are fighting to extend their leases. Others, when we do our special events there, they want it to be less commercialized. Some want it to be more commercialized to make more money. It's really a very difficult management issue. And management will tell you that it's a challenge at every turn. So, what can you tell us about how you're going to bring peace and harmony to every issue at El Pueblo, so that the management can sleep well at night?
Well, it's interesting. I used to actually intern for El Pueblo back in some time ago during my undergraduate for the Getty. They placed me there, so it's a really serendipity and really interesting that this came along, and it really motivated me because I am familiar somewhat, not so much on the ongoings with basically the people that are in the puestos and things like that, but just knowing how everything runs, and back then everything was pretty smooth, and I'm sure that I think opening your ears, observing, and having understanding, and then coming to a decision. I think listening to everybody and coming to a decision would be the best. I think El Pueblo is an incredible location that brings so many people. There's amazing things going on there. So as long as we continue to move that way and be inclusive in the ways to allow it to run, and profit our community, I think that's going to be the best.
Well, I think El Pueblo resembles what it's like to be a politician more than any other department we have in the city, because no matter what you do, you're going to have a huge chunk of people who disagree with you, and yet decisions have to be made, and so that's your challenge. But I think you're uniquely talented. It's a very talented board, and I think you'll learn a lot from them and working with them. But I'm hopeful that you can retain some of the cultural aspects in the more traditional sense that I think really created Calle Alvera. I was baptized across the street, so I have that kind of affinity with it, and I am one that does not want to over commercialize it, even if it means losing some profits. But I don't think it necessarily has to. I think there is an opportunity to expand traditional culture and make money. So if you can find that balance, then you'll do better than a lot of people have done over there. But with that, Mr. Reyes is biting at the bit to
I'm engaging this because as I see term limits create this change, you can have a new mayor, you can have half a council that's going to be changing as well. And what is consistent are the people. As public servants, we have an obligation to serve in a manner that creates the types of balance that Councilman Alarcón is referring to. But I wanted to approach another subject in the bigger picture point of view. When you look at the capacity of that area to look into the future, I think there's an opportunity we're missing, and that is, and if you look at it from bird's eye point of view, you look at all the property that the county controls across the street. Then you have Alvera Street, then you have Union Station. You have a 28-acre park maybe 6 blocks away. You have a light rail station in Chinatown. So your amazing confluence of movement there. I do believe that the county would be very interested if the message was delivered a certain way that speaks to how you can protect the historic fabric of the Pueblo and look at the city's capacity to introduce new entitlements in that parking area. We can generate revenue, create a stronger sense of place, and develop that gateway that goes north into northeast, the gateway into downtown, the historic downtown. You have the cable car that's now with real attraction. It's that kind of perspective that if the board can engage that level of dialogue, then the revenue discussion takes a whole new meaning. You're no longer reliant on just that one little piece. I know people kind of shun the joint powers authority concept and that entity, but here I think it has a lot of potential. I just ran out of time. I was pushing hard to get there using the Chinatown Station, Union Station, and Fort Moore, because Fort Moore has a historic place in how this city evolved. And that connectivity is never really observed. And when you have that kind of land there that's underused, it should benefit the Pueblo. So on the art side, I get it. It's important. When we look at us as stewards, how do we become more creative in creating and developing that revenue in a way that's complementary, that reflects the needs of the folks, and comes from the people? If it came from the stakeholders, if it came from them, half the battle's gone. And so that's the kind of engagement I would hope to see in the future, and I'm hoping that given your background being there before and seeing how smooth things could be, it's funny what still waters can hide. So it's going to be engaging, and if you have any questions about those kinds of issues, I'd be more than happy to assist.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, Mr. Reyes, it's great to see a young person so excited about history. I once was young, and I was excited about history. I'm still excited about history. It's all about where we came from. Mr. Espinoza is a tremendous new asset as the leader there to try to soften the blows that happen in the process of the street and the activity that are there. Not the physical blows, but the emotional blows that are there and the passion, because the people have been there so long. I do know this, and I don't know if you know this, Channel 35 is to move there to one of the buildings, which will be good. It will become our center, our Rockefeller Center, if you will, for public broadcasting right up the street, and then we'll be able to interview and talk to people. More tourist buses stop there than any address in Los Angeles other than the Chinese theater area up in Hollywood. They come here, they get out, they want to experience. The kioscos, I always, when I worked for Mayor Reardon, pushed to get them out into the plaza, which has created more life, I think, which is key for that. Art aspect is so important. Having the right number of events that doesn't overwhelm the staff, but at the same time celebrates our history. We just had St. Patrick's Day, and it was down at LA Live, and it was nice. But I said, next year I want to have a parade up Main Street and end, and I talked to Michael this morning. Let's end at the birthplace of Los Angeles, and as opposed to LA Live, and I still got to work that thing on. They may have something at LA Live, they'll always have something at LA Live for St. Patrick's Day, but what better place for the city to meet and to reflect on our history and all that have come there. I think it would be nice, too, to upgrade the water and power, and I'll work with you on this exhibit, which I think is closed. There are sepia tone pictures that once were color, which means they faded, but is that closed now?
Yes, and we're moving the new visitor center right there off of Better Street.
Whatever. And is Camacho's doing okay?
Camacho's is securing his alcohol beverage control license for the cafe.
I thought it was just a coffee. Now he wants to pour some into his coffee. I don't know. I just want milk or cream.
Coffee.
Irish coffee. Oh, Richard, that's why you're chair. That's why you're chair of committee. So,
For the cold.
so all these things are happening. The old historic fire station. As Mr. Reyes mentioned, the gateway to the city one day is going to be the Union Station again, because of not just our Southern California rail system, but also the California State rail system with high-speed rail, which should go right in top of Union Station somehow, some way, but also preserve it. And I think what Mr. Reyes said, too, is all these parking lots that sometimes the county and the city should talk about. They talk about the Grand Park, and yes, this is grand, but that's the great park, the original park of Los Angeles, and what can be done there. So I look forward to working with you, and I look at Michael and the team that you put there, which is so important, our history, and then what I don't see enough of, but we will, is more yellow buses, school buses, because I know that program kind of fell by ways, but we got to do that just to take people to the birthplace, you know.
I do want to mention and also give kudos to Chris. He's been one of the most effective administrators that we've seen in a long time in Los Angeles, and that's saying a lot. But watching him work in major projects, from concept to funding to breaking ground to unveiling, he's been through all those stages on several instances. So it's great to see that talent here in this setting, because that's the type of can-do attitude you need, and you're going to have a great leader in Chris. So congratulations, Chris.
And also, Mr. Chair, I would support any way that some commissioners and the director or what part of the staff could go to San Diego and see what they've done in some of their old districts, to see what maybe Santa Barbara, and even if we go to San Francisco, someplace locally, to complement. Commercialism is a balance, as you said, that you got to have a balance between that. You want to make it interesting for people. The one thing I really, really, really want to see there is Yang Chow next to the Chinese American Museum, and they had a little outlet there. Yang Chow is the best Chinese restaurant in Chinatown. But
How you going to
anyway.
in and out?
Well, listening
No, in and out.
listening to both of you, it reminds me of San Antonio, where they have their traditional old town, but they've built this in amazing, very modern, yet cultural environment that actually complements the old town. In fact, I believe it attracts more people to Old Town than it would have without those complements. So, and I think you're right. If you are going to modernize the area, that can only enhance the traditional, the more traditional businesses that are there. Now that the reality is that the businesses that are there, even though they're sort of quaint and, like they sell the old stuff we used to criticize in the Chicano movement as selling out and, selling piñatas and little...
It's not the churros.
But the fact is that has now created a culture of its own, separate and apart from the history, separate and apart from the future. That culture is it's there, and that needs to be recognized as a historical element to the city. But your job is not to manage; that's his job. But yours is to participate in the citizen process of evaluating the work that they present to you and making recommendations, or supporting the recommendations, or not supporting, or changing, or altering, working with them so that they can do a better job. But I think you're a great addition, and I think that this gives you a great opportunity in the future to serve either on this commission or other commissions. And I think we like to see young people who are they still have their eyes wide open.
Right.
Bright with excitement about doing work in the community. So congratulations.
The young congressman, Tony Cardenas, was a El Pueblo commissioner.
That's right. Who appointed him?
Mr. Reardon.
That's right. Okay.
Mayor Reardon.
Mayor Reardon. Okay. So with that, it's unanimous. We'll send this
unanimous.
on to council with a
Congratulations.
support, and we'll see you in council. It's 1:30. Well,
Can I
we'll
just,
work on that.
I'd like to take a moment and introduce, we have a guest here today. Her name is Graciela Monroy. She's a political science student from LA City College, and she's here visiting, assigned by one of her professors. What's the professor's name? Salvador Sanchez. So here we have a young person learning about process, engaging committees. Congratulations to you. We don't see many students here in City Hall, so hopefully you'll be a trendsetter and get more students in here. So thank you so much, and congratulations.
Marissa started as a student at USC. Yeah. So anyway, thank you. Take care. This meeting is adjourned. Sorry, Adam.